Hello everyone. Today's topic is what you can learn from these 5 deal closing surprises. You know, just when you think you've seen everything in a real estate deal, something new occurs. The important thing is to be ready, prepared, and to learn something no matter what happens. Here's the situation. They only left us 1 key. The front door has 2 locks. Imagine someone trying to move in on the day of closing. This happens more often than you think. Calling the sellers at 7 p.m. won't help because they usually left the rest of the keys on the kitchen counter. The likely choice for a buyer when this happens is to call a locksmith who offers 24-hour service to get them in and then send the bill to the sellers. In my experience, this can cost up to $400. The lesson here is sellers must make sure they give their lawyer enough keys to give the buyer access after closing. In our office, in most cases, we give the sellers a lockbox and just ask them to leave the keys in the lockbox for the buyer on closing. Situation number 2. We walked in after closing and the entire home smelled worse than the Seinfeld car. Well, this happens as well. And in most of these kinds of cases, unless the seller did something to actively conceal the smell when the buyers were visiting the home in the first place, there's nothing you can do. So be very wary during your home inspection, especially if you smell a lot of air freshener. And make sure you have your home inspected before you buy. Number 3, I found out my tenant has a pet pig. Can I evict them? This actually occurred to a client of mine. Interesting. The city where the house was permitted certain licensed pigs, and this pig was licensed, and there was nothing the landlord could do about it. So the lesson here, when you're qualifying tenants, check social media. Trust me, if they have an unusual pet, there will likely be a picture of them with the pet on Facebook. Next, the courier with the buyer's certified check got stuck in traffic and their cell phone died. This is really not funny. If the buyer lawyer does not make sure that the seller lawyer has the closing funds before 6 p.m. on the closing day, the seller might be able to cancel the deal. This can be very painful, especially when the seller lawyer needs those money to close another deal for the seller who's buying the same day. The lesson here is more and more law firms are recognizing that it makes much more sense to just electronically transfer funds from buyer to seller lawyer trust accounts, usually using a wire transfer to avoid problems from arising in the first place. The money transfer occurs immediately and the deals close more quickly and efficiently, especially when someone is buying and selling on the same day. This also permits our firm to close deals on time, even if the buyer lender is late in transferring funds to our office. To make sure this is easy for your clients, always insert that the balance due on closing is to be paid by wire transfer using the large value transfer system. Who's been sleeping in my bed? I had buyers walk into their home after closing only to find someone living in the basement saying, "I'm your tenant. I had a verbal lease with the landlord." I told them to call the cops, and within 24 hours, thank God, the person left. So the lesson here is always have a pre-closing inspection of your home, even on the morning of closing, to make sure that there are no surprises after closing. And this will include making sure that the seller has removed all the junk and has left the home in a clean and broom-swept condition, which is indicated on most real estate agreements. You know, thank God most deals will close without these kinds of surprises, but it's nice to know that when you deal with our firm, we have over 33 years of experience in handling anything that can happen on a real estate transaction. If you have any questions on any topic, please feel free to contact me at mark@realestatelawyers.ca or by phone toll-free at 1-888-876-5529.